Okay, good afternoon everyone and welcome to the Riverview Medical Missionary Training. We are getting to the end of this training and we hope we can get the most. Hopefully we can finish some of the topics today that we couldn't finish yesterday. Okay, before we start, let's pray and ask the Lord to be with us. So let's kneel as much as you can with me. Heavenly Father, thank you for the privilege of life. Thank you even because it's Friday today. And we are going to come to the Sabbath hours. We want communion with you. Lord, we know that this world is coming to an end and we have a lot of work to do. And we need your power, we need your knowledge, we need your guidance. And we ask you that you will open our eyes today as we learn more. That we may see that your ways are better than man's ways. And that we can trust you, Lord. And more than that, we can enjoy doing your will. Help us, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, for the reading for this afternoon, we will go to Healthful Living, page 55, paragraph 2. Page 55, paragraph 2. Healthful Living. And the title says, God Misrepresented. So let's keep our minds clear in this and pay attention. It says, the children of God cannot glorify Him. Who is Him? Who is Him? Talking about? God. With sickly bodies or dwarfed minds. It says, those who indulge in any species of intemperance, either in eating or drinking, waste their physical energies and weaken moral power. Continue saying, those whose moral faculties are beclouded by disease are not the ones rightly to represent the Christian life, to show forth the joys of salvation or the beauties of holiness. They are too often in the fire of fanaticism or the water of cold indifference or stolid gloom. While men and women professing godliness are diseased from the crown of their head to the sole of their feet, while their physical, mental, and moral energies are enfeebled through gratification of depraved appetite and excessive labor, how can they weigh the evidences of truth and comprehend the requirements of God if their moral and intellectual faculties are beclouded? They cannot appreciate the value of the atonement or the exalted character of the work of God, nor delight in the study of His Word. How can a nervous dyspeptic be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh him for a reason of the hope that is in him, with meekness and fear? Perfection and the spirit of holiness cannot be attained with diseased bodies and minds. We need to ask the Lord for guidance and blessings because we have allowed the enemy to destroy us in many ways, and I include myself in this. Remember, I'm not including you and me not. And I say because when I was a child, I didn't have the care for my teeth that I should have had, and of course I had to place 16 amalgams in my mouth, which was not healthy for me. And even though I already removed them because I didn't want them, you still suffer consequences after those things because we didn't have the proper care we should have had. Sometimes those things will be for years and you still are not able to recover it. Isn't it better to start with the right foot, as we say, and keep going in the right direction instead of stumbling and falling and having pains, and then realize that we should have had a better way? Of course. I always think about the Israelites and how the Lord when they were in the desert, he had to tell the old people, you cannot come in the promised land. And I hope that's not the case for us. I hope, and I trust in his promise that he one day will help us. He will forgive us, of course, that we know it for sure, but that we will be accepted in his sight according to the mercies of Jesus. Because if it's because of us, like the Israel and old time, wow. So we need to teach the people that we need to be a little more careful with our bodies. God didn't give us spare parts that we can get somewhere. And he's not expecting that we will just take out teeth because they don't work. Pancreas or whatever. No, pancreas people don't take out, but appendix or thyroid gland because they don't work. Gallbladder, yes. Even a kidney, one lung, they don't work or they are diseased. Just take it out. Today the mentality in surgery is this. I was there in my rotations, I know because I've seen it. There is a lady that comes and she is having a pain in the abdomen. They think that probably she has appendicitis. And they said, okay, you're going to the surgery. Put MPO, no food, all these requirements that we have in medicine. And then the lady goes into surgery and then they found the appendix is a little inflamed, but they said, well, let's just take it anyhow. Because anyhow it's going to be infected tomorrow, the next day. We are already here, so let's take it out. They cut it, take it out. But then the doctor says, let me just take the gallbladder out one time. I heard this myself. I'm not giving you stories. And then the other one said, oh yeah, sure. It's going to be even cheaper for her because it will be another surgery next year or 2 years from now. Maybe 5 years. Anyhow, it's going to be more expensive if she comes back for another surgery. Can you see that? Just take the gallbladder out. Don't worry. We'll keep you with medications. Keep you alive with medications. But we need to, ourselves as medical missionaries, to remember and recognize the need that we have in this world to take our health serious. This is not something we can play with. We have options to do. No, there is no option. The only option is glorify God in our bodies. And we have to remember that the reasons of our creation is to honor God and bless humanity. As the text says, as the Word of God says there, how can we even teach others about health if we ourselves are not in good shape? Now, in reality, there are cases, exception cases. You may find a lady coming to church and you see her always, she looks sick and everything, but you don't know the story behind. You don't know that someone was drunk and run after her and paralyzed her maybe, or had done a damage to her. Is she charged for that? No, of course not. Something that she did not intend happening. Yet, she has to suffer the consequences, right? And of course, we do the best we can in those cases because there's no other option at that time. But if there is something we could have done and we didn't do and we knew, then we are accountable. Well, let's start today with our topic. We did not finish yesterday, so we are going to finish today. I cannot finish this topic without giving you the next part. We stopped actually talking about the oils, and you see that there is a lot of problem with the oils in our society. There are many questions that people have about the oils. But Dr. Butte, what about the oils that people used to use in the Bible time? What about these and what about that? And I said, sure. Jesus even ate fish. Do you agree with me? Yes, you did. Now, what is God's recommendation about fish for us today? There is a paragraph in the book Concepts on Diets and Food, 384. And there is another one in 300 and 401 that says if there is a time that there is no safety in the use of any animal products is now. What does that mean? There is no safety. There's nothing good about eating a meat diet. Does that include fish? Sure. Does that include eggs? Sure. It's better for us to use a vegetarian diet because we are getting to the last days of this world. Our bodies are very, very weak. They are very, very sick. We are not the same as we used to be before. You can actually see it from the scientific point of view. For example, when I was doing the presentation on vitamin D, there is one scientific study of doctors commenting that the amount of vitamin D we used to use before to give to patients that had rickettsia, to give them the vitamin D level up and get them out of the crisis, is now higher than it used to be before. Why is it so? Because our bodies are not reacting in the same way they used to. We don't have the same amounts of protective mechanisms we used to have before. And that you could recognize it even from the Spirit of Prophecy when it mentioned that our bodies have become weaker and weaker for 6,000 years. The body of energy and strength that God intended us to have at Adam and Eve's time is not the same we have today. Just like we talk about cars. Cars are not made the same way they were used to be made before, right? Strong cars, not anymore. All right. If we talk about hypertension, we have to include, for example, this study that says that drinking 1 fructose sweetened soda per day can increase the risk of hypertension by 77%. Refined fructose. It's talking about refined fructose or refined products of the sugars, like corn syrup, agave nectar, any of these things, including especially fructose, refined fructose. I'm not talking about fructose in the fruits. That's totally different. This is refined fructose, okay? Increases hypertension by 77%. One only. The fact that I drink 1 soda today and I don't have hypertension does not give me a license to do it again. I always use the example of a man that comes to me and says, he's probably 25 years old, let's say, and he says, I have lung cancer. I just smoked for 1 year and I have lung cancer now. But then there is a 90-something years old man come to me and he has smoked all his life and says, never had cancer. What is the difference? Now, does that make it a good thing? And gives a license to somebody else to smoke? Because one person that has 90 years old did not get cancer. You see the point? What about Adam and Eve? Adam and Eve, they did not die. Physically, literally, at that moment when they ate the fruit. And so, if they heard God saying, you're going to die, and they did not die, guess what was the first thought most likely Satan put in their head? And same way, people say today, it doesn't make anything to me. It doesn't hurt me. Who question and ask the right question? Is it pleasing to you, Lord, that I eat this thing? You see the mentality? Who has been playing with the mentality that we have in our society? Who has been tricking our minds so we keep thinking, oh, we can keep doing this. It doesn't hurt me. This is part of our nature. Since the beginning, it's not different. Since Adam and Eve is the same thing. Satan put the thoughts into it, and we like those thoughts, and we keep fostering those thoughts. Because it doesn't hurt me, I can keep doing it. I'll give you a scientific example so you can see. We talk about Dr. Russell Blaylock. Remember, we are going to talk about him in a few seconds. Dr. Russell Blaylock says in his presentations, he says, look, to me, the person that has a reaction to the MSGs, excitotoxins, monosodium glutamate, however you want to call it, the one that has a reaction and look for help and avoids it is blessed in comparison to the one that does not have reaction, keep using the product, and still get damaged. Because there's nobody in this world that is free from the effects of MSG. Everybody is affected. The point is that some people don't have the similar reaction than others. For example, vomiting, diarrhea, and pains, and headaches. What they call today the Chinese restaurant reaction. Now they call it like that because, you know, Chinese people is the one who started this Ajinomoto company. They are the ones who knew about the flavor and enhancing capacity of the MSG. So they put it in the food so they could use it as a food flavor enhancer. And that's why they call it that way. But then the person that has a reaction, he says, I don't want to have this reaction anymore, so I'm going to look for help. I get rid of that symptom. And he does not want to use it again. He avoids it. So in that point, you see that in many things in our world, we have to be careful because the enemy has been teaching, if it doesn't hurt you, keep using it. So what we have to really learn as medical missionary workers is what is pleasing to the Lord, not what hurts somebody or what doesn't hurt somebody. Okay. We talk about hydration, drinking enough water. This is what we find in studies, what is proven. For you to have your cartilage well, you can see the amount of water you should drink if you have, let's say, 19 to 70 years old, which is most of the population, right? How much is the water intake that you should have? Approximately what? 3.5 liters a day. You see that? 3.5 liters a day, which is 16 glasses, or if you count it by gallons, it's 1 gallon almost. Because 1 gallon is 3.87 liters. So if you drink 3.5, it's almost a gallon. Or you can measure in quarts. It will be almost 4 quarts. Because a gallon has 4 quarts. You see that? Okay, so you measure your bottle. And depending on how much it is, then you have to count how many of those you have to be drinking per day. And don't drink the whole thing at one time. That doesn't work the same way. Okay, now let's talk about the excitotoxin. This is the part that I cannot miss. Excitotoxins, that's the name of the doctor that talks about the excitotoxin, Russell Blaylock. He's one of the top neurosurgeons in the US. He's now retired, but he talks about these issues. He says in his presentation, this is his words, addressing the treatment for patients. He says diabetic patients is better controlled when not using MSG products. He says hypertension is better controlled also. If you want to get rid of hypertension, if you want to get rid of diabetes, you cannot be using MSG. Now that's just to try to warn you, because in the reality, when you learn about MSG, that is carcinogenic, that it causes many problems, including the killing of the neurons of your brain, then you have to think, nobody is exempt of the damaging effect of MSG in the brain. Now, yes, you don't have probably feelings in diabetes. Yes, you may not feel your Maggi Sarap causing you cancer right now. You may not feel the Maggi Sarap causing this and that. But it is killing your nerves. Want it or not, it is doing it. So question, if you know that. Now, the story doesn't end there. When you study about excitotoxin, especially about MSG, then you find that it stays in your body for more than decades, maybe even 20 years or more. 20 years? Can you imagine you being 6 months old eating MSG? Yes. 6 months old eating MSG from baby food and baby formula. And still be damaging until your 20s? Can you imagine that? This is science. This is latest discoveries about excitotoxins MSG. Now you see the effect, the damaging effect of this? Can you see it now? So I don't only teach go away from MSG because it's causing hypertension. It's actually causing cancer. It's causing many things in our bodies, including the killing of the neurons. An excitotoxin is anything that excites your nerves too much, more than what is needed. But the end result is death from the nerve. He actually measures the killing of the neurons in the body from MSG for thousands of days, thousands of them per day. Can you imagine killing thousands of your neurons right now today, just because you ate one meal? Is that fair? Now you don't feel anything, but you're being affected. Question then, where do we find MSG? Do you know? Tell me, where do you find MSG? What is the name of MSG? Ajinomoto is the company that started it, and many people have called it Ajinomoto since then, and that's the name that many people know. But the MSG, the real name, the scientific chemical name is free glutamic acid. Free glutamic acid. Free is the most important part. Glutamic acid or monosodium glutamate. Why do I emphasize free glutamic acid? Because you find glutamic acid in vegetables. What the problem is? It's not free, it's bound. The problem is when it is free, when it has been opened, the package. It's liberated now. Now he's able to do something he was not assigned to do. We produce monosodium glutamate in our brains. When? When you have low blood sugar. Now you have to study a little physiology so you can understand that most of the population in the US, well, at least more than 55% of the population have hypoglycemia syndrome or spells or episodes. Meaning they have problem with the control of the sugar. They don't have diabetes. No, that's not diabetes, according to them. Yet, even the low glucose problem of people causes glutamic acid to be freed in your own brain. You see, glutamic acid and monosodium glutamate is not only in your food. Even in our own behavior, in our own body. It happens even in our own body when we don't do what God says we should do. Why does people have hypoglycemia episodes? According to the studies, people are eating approximately 129, some studies, 159, some studies, pounds per person per year. You heard me about that? According to the latest studies in the 1994, some other studies 2012. And what happens is when you are using so much sugar, then your sugar goes up, insulin increases, and when the insulin do the work, the sugar comes too low, and then you have a hypoglycemia episode. Where is all that sugar coming from? Most of the time from processed food. Not from the table, from processed food. From the bakery, from the Doritos, in US even from salt. Because they put dextrose, which is a sugar. It doesn't taste anything, but it's a sugar. They put dextrose in salt. In some of them, of course, not in everyone. So you have to be careful which kind of salt you buy. So when your sugar goes up, your insulin goes up, and then finally the insulin finishes the work and your glucose comes too low, what happens in your brain? You produce MSG. You yourself produce MSG. You are the... Oh, can you see now? So we have to be careful. What is the main food processed product that is causing the low glycemia episodes in the world? The main one is, or the most common one, processed food is fruit juices. Guess what is one of the main things mothers give to their children as they learn to eat things at home? Fruit juices. Apple juice. That's the most famous one in the US, and orange juice too. Loaded with sugar. Or they may make it at home with fruits. Anyhow, the same thing. Loaded with sugar. And what happens? We put the children into the learning of the behavior of the hypoglycemia episodes. And what happens every time they have it? Glutamic acid is formed in their brains. MSG causes damage of thousands of neurons per day. And we are not talking about yet the food industry. This is only home behavior. 9 cases out of 10 indisposition of children is traced to a problem in the habit of eating, dressing, or sleeping, according to the spirit of prophecy. Didn't the Bible say that at the end of time we will have children lovers of themselves, disobedient to the parents? Who is causing that? According to the spirit of prophecy, you as medical missionary workers need to know that you have to tell people the only one that God always blames in the spirit of prophecy for all the problems in children's behavior is the parents. Nobody else. The one to blame for the cause of the disobedience of the children today is the parents. You can read it in the spirit of prophecy. You look for words like God, blame, or talking about education of the children's indisposition, disobedience of the children. Look for those key words in the spirit of prophecy. You will find any time God says, and the blame is, or because of, parents' irresponsibility. Not training children aright. And learning what to eat and how to do, how to behave and how to be ruled. So, what is your work as medical missionary workers? We have to teach the churches. We have to teach people how to treat children. How to teach them to be healthy. How to teach them to learn to love God's way. And that the parents need to know it. This is medical missionary work. You have to have classes to teach parents, to teach young people how to be fathers and mothers. We need that. That's what is medical missionary training. True education. That's what it involves. You want a church that is healthy? How can we have healthy churches if we don't have healthy homes? Can we have healthy churches if we don't have healthy homes? No, we cannot. The spirit of prophecy says the unit of the society is the home, the families. If the families are not well, the church cannot be. Even the Bible says the elders need to be married and they should know how to govern, rule the house. So now we are going to see the list. In the US, if there is a product that has less than 99 point something percent of MSG, they don't have to put it in ingredients. If they don't have the amount that they have in the law, they don't have to put it in the ingredients. Therefore, the product can say in front, MSG free. Yet, it may have 0.0 something percent. Right? Now, the story doesn't end there because sometimes products are not added with MSG. They don't put it in the products. They are formed when they are processing the product. If it's not added, yet it could have been made in the processing, they don't have to put in the ingredients that has MSG. So the companies can make something that is tasty. They have MSG in the processing. The product has MSG, but they don't have to reveal it to you. They can hide it. This is the reality of the processing of the food in the US. Now here in the Philippines, it's even worse. Because here in the Philippines, you don't have a problem with MSG. You can use it anytime you want. And you can actually place it in ingredients of the products and it's not a problem. It's not illegal. I can actually tell you that I went to the 7-Eleven that is on the corner close to the place where we are staying, and I took the picture of it. And I have it here on my phone, if you want to see it. Monosodium glutamate in one of the peanut packages. It's just peanut. But you read the ingredients, what else it has? Many, many things, including monosodium glutamate. And that's what you can see. Maybe something is hidden behind that. So if the product produces monosodium glutamate in the processing that is not added, they don't have to put it. In the US, since it is illegal to use MSG, they look for ways to use it to hook people into the flavor of the product, and they don't have to say that it's MSG. So now I'm going to reveal to you some of the names that they are using in the products to hide that they have MSG. Now, can you see the problem here in the Philippines? This is a big issue in the US because we know in the US that excitotoxins are terrible. Science is open already for this. But in the Philippines, you are open to use it. Now, if I keep telling you that excitotoxin is one of the causes of children hyperactivity disorder, if I tell you that is one of the causes children cannot pay attention, I'm going to ask you a question. What is the percentage of the children of the churches that you are attending that are able to sit with their parents? All the program. Not few minutes. All the program during the Sabbath day. How many is the percentage you can say? Tell me, please. Zero. Anybody gives more. This is one of the reasons. This is only one. There are many others, including wrong training in the home. So if we use that as a measurement, can we say that we as Seventh-day Adventists are training our children right? We cannot say it. We cannot say it. Therefore, we have a big problem here. Brothers and sisters, the children that you see today are not ready for what's coming in the future. The majority of them. I can assure you that. Now let's see the names so we can have an idea. So the first list says there ingredients that always contain process-free glutamic acid. All right? If you read in the ingredient and it says glutamic acid, if you read an ingredient and it says glutamate, monosodium glutamate, monopotassium glutamate, monoammonium glutamate, magnesium glutamate, calcium glutamate, natrium glutamate, yeast extract, anything that says hydrolyzed. What about peanut butter? Partially hydrogenated fats. Have you read that in ingredients? Brothers and sisters, if you don't read ingredients, you are loading your body with who knows what. When you read in the ingredients that have vitamin D3, have you asked yourself, what is that vitamin D3 coming from? Do you know where is that vitamin D coming from? Look for information. Vitamin D3 cannot be found in plants. It's only found in animals. Guess which is the most common animal people use in business to get vitamin D3? I'm not going to tell you. You find out. This is between you and God. What are you doing with your body and what are you going to teach people to do? You see the point? Now, whenever you say that it has hydrolyzed protein, give me the main product in the Seventh-day Adventist Church that says hydrolyzed protein. Exactly. TVP products from Loma Linda. All of them. All of them. Brothers and sisters, I'm not here to tell you lies. I'm not here to tell you keep going with the packlocks that we have. I'm here to teach you real, true medical missionary work. Whenever you see yeast extract, hydrolyzed protein, calcium caseinate, this is used in many of the vegan cheeses. Many of the vegan cheeses you find in the businesses, and you read the ingredients, calcium caseinate, isn't it? Sodium caseinate, yeast food, yeast nutrient, Burr's yeast, nutritional yeast, autolyzed yeast. Anytime you eat jello is MSG. Does people give jello here in the Philippines to children? You want children that obey God? You want children that can stay in church for a long time and pay attention? That they will love to hear the word of God. Why do we give jello? We don't know, brothers and sisters. We are blind. Just as Revelation says, we think we know, we think we are rich, but we are poor, naked, and blind. This is the reality. Medical missionary workers, what are you going to do? What are you going to teach people? Keep people blind? This is pure science. It's just telling you the truth. Textured protein, soy protein. So we keep going in the list. Whey protein, vegine, Ajinomoto. Then we have the other list here. Carrageenan, bouillon and broth, stock, natural flavors. I'll stop here. Natural flavors. One day I was buying something in the US when I was still learning all these things and I was still using it myself. And then I read the ingredients and it says natural flavors. My queen called the company and they said it's chicken broth. So we are vegetarians. We are claiming not to eat any animal products, and yet we are eating chicken broth in this. Well, that's not that bad because it's a clean animal supposedly, but yet at this time there's no safety in the use of any animal product. So I don't want to have anything. And I'm buying a product that says vegan, but in the ingredients says natural flavor, and they said it's chicken broth. Now guess what chicken broth is? I don't know what kind, but it's similar to Maggi Sarat. So therefore it is MSG. Walmart, one of the main brands of businesses in the US, supermarket like the SM here, they have a soy milk, and when I was still learning, I was still using soy milk from Walmart, and one day I woke up, read the ingredients, and it says natural flavors. So we called the company, my queen called the company again, and they said, sorry, it's a secret from the company, we cannot tell you. And I said, sorry, but I don't buy it anymore. I don't know what it is, I'm not going to eat it. Then, talking to one of my patients on the phone one day, she said, I expressed what I had in my experience. I told her this is what happened to me. And she said, oh no, I called them. They told me it was MSG. Now, to me, somebody did not tell me, but to her, somebody told her what it was. It was MSG. Therefore, I said, praise God. When you have a doubt, don't use it. Praise God because I didn't. So you have maltodextrin. Maltodextrin is very common in the natural herbs supplement. So be careful with natural herbs supplement. Anything ultra pasteurized, barley malt or malt barley. This is common in cookies. Pectin, protease, anything that says enzyme modified, or if it says enzymes in the processing or in the packaging. Malt extras, what's that? Soy sauce. Well, I told you already that it's a fermented processed product, so you should never put soy sauce in your mouth, because God says nothing fermented should come into our body. It is inflammatory. You don't want it in your mouth. What's the next? Liquid aminos. All right, I told you already, liquid aminos is a refined product. God never intended us to use refined products, so don't use it. It is MSG beside that. In the processing of taking out those amino acids from the protein molecule, free glutamic acid come out. Therefore, you're going to have more. So there you have the list. Approximately 40 different names of the MSG that you can find in the market and you did not know. Right? And many things you don't know. Just the fact that we produce ourselves in our brains when we have low blood sugar. Brothers and sisters, we have to wake up. First us, before we can wake up the churches. Because if we don't wake up, we don't change, how can we expect the church to change? As medical missionaries, we have a big, big job to do. First in our homes and then after in the church. Of course, we can talk about hypertension, about obesity. I'm not going to dwell much on that. Animal protein increases kidney dysfunction and then increases hypertension. This is Dr. Esselstyn. This is the stone that I talked to you about. He is the director of the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio. He's a cardiologist that is director of all the surgeries that they do at that hospital for heart disease patients. He is the one that had a study for 20 years to prove that Ellen G. White's diet was right. Not Ellen G. White's diet, God's diet. But it was not invented by Ellen White. It was just written by her by order of the Lord. God says in the Spirit of Prophecy, Our food should be contained of fruits, vegetables, grains, seeds, nuts, and at the end of time, root crops. Did you know that? Did you know that? It's in the Spirit of Prophecy. Consistent Diets and Food, I think page 81.5. But it will be in the documents that I've given you. And I can give it to you. I have it in my phone too. There's actually 2 quotes in the Spirit of Prophecy that talk about the use of root crops at the end of time. And I can give you even, well, that one I didn't think about giving it to you now, but if we can put it back into the CD, I just remember something else. I received a document from a friend in the US that do research. And he told me that, okay, I read the article. He put together all the study that shows that for the virus Ebola, we have a cure. Because what happened is they started studying in Africa that the bats, the animals that fly and sleep in the night, head down, they have the virus, but they don't have the disease. But then they started studying them, and they found that there is a molecule in the fruits and roots, like taro, gavi, camote, called mannose binding lectin, MBL. That molecule takes the antigens of the virus and make it in a way that will be visible to the white blood cells. If it's more visible to the white blood cells, then the white blood cells can identify it faster and they can attack faster. Therefore, the virus is exposed. Remember, this is the way the Satan works in our lives. If he can hide himself and come as an angel of light, he done it. So, they said, the problem is in the US, people are eating less than 3 portions of fruits per day, and the recommendation is approximately 7 portions of fruits a day. Yet, they said, therefore, the US population is not ready to face Ebola virus. What about the Philippines? I'm not going to count. I don't have any studies. I'm not going to tell you. The only thing I can tell you, if we follow God's plan, fruits, vegetables, seeds, grains, nuts, and at the end of time, root crops, we don't have to worry even about Ebola virus. So I'm going to show you. This is Dr. Essenstein's plan. He says, here are the rules of my program in their simplest form. You may not eat anything with a mother of face. No meat, poultry, or fish. Does that sound like God's plan? You cannot eat dairy products. Does that sound like God's plan? All right. You must not consume oil of any kind, not a drop. Yes, you devotees of the Mediterranean diet, that includes, but you know now why. Because he's the one that has all these studies and he found these things. And he continues saying, you can eat a wonderful variety of delicious nutrients-dense food. Which are those? Legumes, beans, peas, lentils of all variety. All vegetables, sorry, I missed that. All whole grains and products as long as they do not contain added fat. Do you know that these words, you find them in the Spirit of Prophecy? There is a quote that says that grains of any kind, as long as they don't have grease in it, is the way to be. Or the legumes, the beans and peas, you find it. God says fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds. And what he says at the end? All fruits. This is Essenstein's program to reverse heart disease. And after 20 years of experience, he was able to tell the world it is possible. He did angiograms. You know what an angiogram is? It's when you go through the femoral artery and you go all the way to the heart, you put some dye into it and you can picture with x-rays the images of the coronary arteries. And if you see the artery like a pipe, you see it coming down, and if you ever see something like this, meaning it's blocked, right? So he took pictures of those things for all the patients in sequence, and he put them for years to follow the plan, and then he took pictures at the end. Approximately 3 years, 2 years for some others longer, some others shorter, but after the program, 100% clean. Now, what does medicine say about that? At the time when Dr. Esselstyn was doing this test, this experiment, medicine knew that it was impossible to reverse heart disease. Now think about this. Think about this. He had a license as a doctor. Medicine say that cardiac disease cannot be reversed. Coronary artery disease. He comes in the stage and says it is possible. Against medicine. And he says, I'm going to make a test for 20 years. I don't know if he knew how much, but he says, I'm going to do the study. And he started. Can you imagine what would have happened with Dr. Esselstyn if one of his patients would have died in that program? What would have happened? He would have been in trouble, in jail. You see the picture now? Who directed the step of this heathen doctor to prove to the world Ellen G. White diet? Who was behind this? My dear Father in heaven. Because he had to use someone who is not an Adventist to do what we don't want to do. So my request, my dear request as medical missionary workers today is, you cannot be a medical missionary worker if you do not love God's guidance in the spirit of prophecy. You will never be able to have power to do the medical missionary work if you do not believe in God through the spirit of prophecy. And God is going to finish this work with you or without you. With me or without me. The question is not if the problem is going to continue. The question is, are you willing to come in the boat and suffer? I'm not asking you to come in the boat and have a happy life. Hardship, privation, judging. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. You see, hypertension is not an easy topic. It involves many things. We don't have to have hypertension. In his program, hypertension is gone. Cardiac disease is gone. What kind of program does he use? Tell me that he uses drugs. Tell me that he uses anything different from God's plan. Why we as Seventh-day Adventist doctors don't have the success that he has? Now I can tell you, at UG Pines, we do that program because it's Ellen G. White's program, because it's God's plan. And we do see the success. When I learned about Dr. Essenstein's, I was already working at UG Pines for, a few months or whatever. And when I learned this, I said, what? I almost cried myself. Because you see here, God directing a program with no Adventist support. So let's, do what is right. Things that can be used for hypertension, patients can use. People like sometimes supplements. I don't really like them. CoQ10 is one of the ones that is safest that we can say in the hypertension problem. Yes, many people don't have the ability to pursue them. I don't like supplements, but if you think about one, probably it's CoQ10. You may find someone that has money, has contacts in the US, and they can get it everywhere. They can get it, okay, that's fine. They can use CoQ10. Garlic is what I like. You will have in the DVD some of the clips that I have about cancer, and one of the best products for cancer is garlic. You will see that grapeseed extract is also good for hypertension. Quercetin. Quercetin is one of the best anti-inflammatories of the world. It is found in many things. You find it in apples. Which is the one that has more? Cebollas, onions. That's what I use for bruises, pains. When you hurt yourself, you will see that later. L-arginine. You know Dr. Varona? This is it. This is her secret. L-arginine. She loves L-arginine because it's very good. Now, as I told you, I don't like supplements. I like to eat the food. Where do you find it? Many vegetables. Just find it. Just eat the vegetables. If you follow God's plan, you will never be wrong. Period. Now, if you want to know where specifically you want to buy some of that more than the other things, you can do that. Rosemary, fennel, mistletoe, any diuretic. Which diuretic is very common here in the Philippines we can use? Banaba. I don't know which one that is, but there is an example here. Banaba. You can study yourself about that. I don't know that one. I will investigate myself. Banaba. Coconut juice. Exactly. That's a diuretic you can use. Another one is corn silk, or the hair of the corn, whatever you want to call it. It's very good as diuretic, and it does not deplete you from electrolytes and minerals, which is caffeine the case. Caffeine depletes you of your minerals and vitamins. Makes you pee, but depletes you. Corn silk does not deplete you. What is the next diuretic that you can use? Take water out of the body. Pack one. And you eat the seed and the fruit. Both are diuretic. The seed and the fruit. So when you eat pack one, don't forget to eat the seeds too. Chew them well. If you cannot chew, you have to grind it so you can get it in. All right? You can use saffron as an antioxidant. Huh? Guyabano, I don't know if guyabano is a diuretic. Macahia, yes. Macahia it is. Macahia it is. Macahia is actually a laxative also. So you can use those too. Saffron is another one. Hawthorn berry, yes. Valerian, yes. Although those you don't find here. I need to modify my presentation for the Filipino family. But one day I'll do that when I have a little more time. Now, other ones that you can find here in the Philippines are stonebreaker. Okay, where's my herbs? Can we have the herbs now, please? May I have the herbs now? Do we have them ready? Stonebreaker, as you can see in the picture, it's a plant that has leaves. It's small. It's a wild plant, but it's characteristic because it has little balls in the bottom. You see those little balls in the bottom? That's how you recognize a stonebreaker. This stonebreaker is one of the safest herbs in the world. Has been used in many diseases. Cancers, hypertension, diabetes, gallbladder stones, kidney stones, coronary artery disease, and many others. Those are the main uses I have for stonebreaker. You can see it's not a big plant. It doesn't grow big. It's a short shrubbery. It's wild. I have found it in... You can pass it around. I have found it in Venezuela. I found it in Guyana. I found it in US. I found it in Panama. I found it here too. The stonebreaker can be used raw, just blending it with a little bit of water. You can crush it. You can steep it. Now I say steep it because I don't think will be good boiling. No, I don't know that.
It's also a diuretic.
Oh, it is a diuretic. It's a grass, yes. Okay, there is another diuretic here that I don't know. I will investigate this one myself. So you... Palactic. All right, we all learn every day. So you learn, you study and you can find out. Palactic. Palactic.
The roots.
Okay, the seed of the malunggay. Okay, so those are examples of the stonebreaker. You can pass it around so people can see it. You can steep it, and the reason I said steep it is because if you... Yes, sure. I use it in the US at Yuchi Pines. I collected it from my house for my patients. Just around my house. And the outside in the garden. We just have to look for it. It grows in the summer in the US. It doesn't grow in the winter time. We just have to find it in the summertime. Okay, now I'm going to explain how to use it. Okay, you finish looking at it? Okay, let me explain now how to use the stonebreaker so we can finish with the stonebreaker. All right, you do steeping. Why steeping? Because boiling not only take the elements out, it will kill the substance. So you don't boil tender leaves. You boil roots. You don't boil leaves. You steep it. Now, what is steeping? Okay, don't go to sleep. Pay attention. Follow me. You have the pot, put it on the fire, put the fire on, the water boils, turn it off. Put the leaves, cover, let it rest. When it's available, you drink it. That's steeping. You follow? Simple. Nothing. Yes, call it infusion too. So don't boil it. You can use everything from that plant, including the roots. Yes, you can use the roots. Of course, wash it. Of course, wash it, but you can use even the roots of that plant. I used it myself when I was in Venezuela. The reason I use that in Venezuela is because when I was starting on my natural remedies journey, learning, I read a book from a biochemist, Colombian doctor, who was explaining that calcium from the cow milk does not go to your bones. It always goes to soft tissue. That the milk company does not tell you. Yes, it has calcium, but it does never goes to your bones. Question then, why people drink it? For the bones. No reason, no benefit. Clear on that? All right. Then he was explaining that it goes to your arteries. Yes, coronary artery disease. So how do you get the calcium out of your arteries? Cardiac disease. That's why I use stone breakers for cardiac disease. So you can dissolve the calcium in the plaque. That's what stone breakers do. Therefore, I started using it myself, not because I think I have disease, but because I know in my family I have the cardiac disease background. And then I said I'm going to test it myself and make sure that my patients will not die. So I drank it myself. Yeah, I risked my life too. But anyhow, I knew that it was coming from a good book, good source, said I can trust it. Okay, so I did it. And you can use it. There are many uses. Now, the avocado seeds, yes, you have to boil it. The avocado seed, you have to boil it. You chop it in pieces or break it, break it, and then you boil it because it's a hard thing. You know, boiling seeds or roots sometimes takes hours. For example, dandelion in the US, I recommend boiling it even 4 hours if you want to get the best of it. So if you boil it for an hour, half an hour, that's good. But there are some roots that are really, really hard. You can boil it for more time.
What's dandelion?
What is the one? Dandelion.
Yes, what is it for?
Oh, dandelion is for many things. It's a diuretic. It is actually used for diabetes. It is also used as one of the main greens for salads. It is actually one of the only greens that is mentioned in the spirit of prophecy as food. The only problem is that it's bitter, and if you pick it in the wrong time, it's going to be very bitter. But dandelion is useful for many, many things. Now in here, I have not seen dandelion ever. Although, according to my studies, it's a worldwide plant. According to my studies. But I have not seen it here. For the dandelion? Well, you have the stone breaker, you have all these things. Yeah, God has many, many things for every place of the world. Nobody should lack salvation. Therefore, nobody should lack healing either. All right? And then the neem, the same thing. They use the bark and they can use it. You can exercise, walking, nature, or gardening. You know that those are the best exercises now. And the deep breathing. Now I'm going to teach you the deep breathing. It says there 4, 7, 9. Now you remember yesterday we talked about how to breathe properly, right? Now what you have to learn is that you breathe in through your nose 4 seconds. And then you hold it for 7 seconds. And then you breathe it out through your mouth for 9 seconds. So you do this. You got the picture now? 4 in, keep it 7, breathe it out 9, in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can put it out through the nose, but it would be less than 9 seconds. You cannot breathe out through your nose so slowly. When I have done this, even myself some nights, when I go to see patients in an emergency situation, and I wake up at night and I cannot go to sleep because I've been exposed to lights and so on, I do my 4, 7, 9. And sometimes I reach the 7 to 20. Now that's a good thing, but you don't want to pass 20. Because you slow down your breathing and your heart rate too much. You actually slow down very much. Very, very relaxing. Stress, heart disease, insomnia, depression, many things. Proper breathing. If you breathe 4-7-9 all day long, great. Now, we are not going to do that. That's impossible. But it's good to do it as much as we can, even if you don't have anything. Yes, sometimes I'm waiting for a car, bus, whatever, something, and I have the opportunity, I do my 4-7-9, even though I have no signal whatsoever, supposedly. I do it. Or when I told you, when I have to, come up in the night and something bothers my sleep, I want to go back to sleep, this is what I use. And it works. You don't have to talk to count sheep and things like that. You can do the 4-7-9 and talk to the shepherd, as many people say. Then the devil will go from you and he will not bother you. All right. Epsom salt, you can use Epsom salt for hypertension, hot foot bath. We haven't touched about hot foot bath yet, but we will do. That's one thing you can use for hypertension. If I have an emergency case, what is an emergency case? If you have someone with a 200 over 110, 180 over 100, these people may have a stroke. What do you do now? This is what we call an emergency blood pressure. You have to do something now. What do you do? The number one thing I do is put them in the sun. 30 to 40 minutes in the sun, even with clothes on. Doesn't matter. What I want is the heat from the sun, bring that down, that blood pressure. If you don't have the sun, for one reason or another one, including is night. What are you going to do if someone has a high blood pressure night? Hot foot bath. Okay? First choice, sunbathing. Second choice, hot foot bath. 1 bulb of steamed garlic right now. Steamed garlic. Not smushy garlic. Steam. Just steam enough to get the hotness of the garlic out, but not to make it smushy. That when you grab it, no. Just enough to get the hot of the garlic flavor out, and the person eats 1 bowl of steamed garlic. 4-7 of the breathing, 30 to 40 minutes in the sun, that's all. That's the emergency treatment for high blood pressure. You can do many other things. You can do dandelion, you can do other teas, you can even do slide massage, you can probably, many things. Even talk to the person, assurance to God and all these things. But the number one thing I do is sunbathing, bowl of garlic, 4-7-9. That's basic for any emergency blood pressure. No sun, hot foot bath. Epsom salt bath is good, hot foot bath, 12 cloves of steamed garlic or a whole bowl. Okay. Those are recommendations from Dr. Agatha Trash. Careful attention to the proper clothing of the extremity is essential to calm the autonomic nervous system and to equalize the circulation. Cold skin causes an alarm reaction of the autonomic nerves. Chill tissue causes the blood to shunt from the extremities to the interior of the body, where vital organs are congested and their function is made less effective. Keep all skin warm except during the active sweating for cooling. Check especially the hands and feet, and the back of the arms and the sides of the thigh. Wear only clothing loose enough to move up and down freely. Adaptation to messages from the skin signaling. Chilling takes a large tax from the nerve energy sources. Colossians 4:8, finally, brethren, whatsoever are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever good is a good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Why? Because many of the diseases, including hypertension, have an origin in the mind. Did you know that even doubt will harm you? Well, you look for it in the spirit of prophecy. Doubt is sin. Doubt is idolatry. You look for it. Type it. Why? Because when you doubt, you are just claiming to the whole universe that God cannot be trusted. That's what you just said in your mind. That is called idolatry. So therefore it's sin. We should teach our children, our families, anybody to be trustful, to trust God. But you study, because many Seventh-day Adventists don't trust God. I can tell you, study it. Read Mind, Character, and Personality. You see how many people don't trust God. All right. Now I'm going to talk to you about cancer. We didn't finish cancer yesterday, before we can go on into the herbs that we have. I'm not going to dwell much in cancer because it's too vast. I'll just give you some tips. Cancer patients, the best diet I told you yesterday is raw. Raw diet. For a cancer patient that has no idea what to do, they want to beat the cancer, they don't want it anymore, the best diet has been used for anybody, any programs in the US, any scientific people, is raw food. Now the only thing, as I was telling the sister here that was sitting yesterday, is that for the raw diet you really have to master the cooking arts. You have to make it palatable so the person can enjoy eating the food. It's not really that we want to punish them, but they have to be strict in what they do. But it has to be palatable. Where is the palatableness, if we can say, of the food for a person that is doing raw? I told you already yesterday, you have to rely on the seeds, on the nuts, on the fatty foods that God has given us, so you can give the taste to the vegetables. Fruits, most of the time, is not a problem for people that are doing raw diet. I don't recommend fruits and vegetables together because that is the recommendation of the Spirit of Prophecy. But, well, let me tell you this. In the Spirit of Prophecy, there are basically two quotes that talks about vegetables and fruits together. One says we should not do it. The other one says if the person has digestive issues. Now, many people take this quote to say, I don't have digestive issues, I can eat fruits and vegetables together. Now, let me ask you an honest question today. Do you really think there is one person in this room or in the whole world that has no issues with digestion? Tell me that you know someone. I don't think there is one person in this world that has no digestive issues. Why? I'll prove you. If I do allergic test or food intolerant test in the US and I use Immunolab laboratories from Florida, they say that their test is 99% accurate. And they claim if we don't get your allergy, we'll give you your $1,000 back. Because it's a very expensive test. That's how they claim. Imagine, you said, no, I was not allergic to this, so give me my money back. They will have to give it to you. You see how assured they are to say those words? And they say, in their experience, 95% of the population has intolerance to food, allergic reaction to this, however you want to call it, the food makes people sick. In my experience, from those allergic reactions, my patients, the lowest one in allergic reaction was 13 items. 13. The highest was 39. One person with 39 food intolerance. I'll give you the example so you can see. One day, Probably like a week from the program, she was laying on the bed. I was teaching the students, and they called me to the room. I went running. She was not responding. She was not talking. And they were taking the vital signs, and they were actually doing a fomentation of the abdomen already. And I came in, I examined her, I saw her eyes, I checked the pulse, the blood pressure myself. And the blood pressure was the only thing that was a little strange. It was 130/90. So I said, this doesn't sound right. Anyhow, I asked her some questions. She was not able to respond to me much. The only thing she told me was, when I asked her if she ate breakfast, that she said yes. And I asked her, what did you eat? She said, I ate the bread. That's all. So I said to the assistant, bring some charcoal for her. In the meantime, I was writing my report with the chart in the room, because I didn't want to leave the room. I wanted to stay there to make sure nothing else will happen, because I didn't know exactly what was going on. So I was writing my report, and probably like 10 minutes to 15 minutes after she had drank the charcoal, because they managed to give the charcoal, she stood up. She said, can I go for a walk? I said, look at this. 15 minutes, 10 minutes before, you were laying down there, nobody could talk to you properly, and now you just want to walk. That's very common in food allergies. You are eating something, and you go to sleep, and you cannot wake up. It's not something that, hey, somebody kick you and you wake up. No. Somebody kick you, you cannot wake up. You are so deep into that slumberness because your body is fighting against that food that is not agreeing with you. And then you are toxic. And you cannot wake up. Your brain is numb, is congested. Then the person takes charcoal that binds the toxins and cleans the mind. Boom. Surprise. And the person walk away. And then I asked her, what did you eat? She said, I ate the wheat-free bread and the wheat bread. I said, you are allergic to wheat, no matter what. Week later, the test was back, because it took a week for the result to come, and she was allergic to 39 items of food, including wheat, including calabaza, including many things. She complained that she was having a problem, and that was sweating. She will sweat too much, and she will feel hot even with the AC on. Her husband was freezing, and she was sweating. It was a problem in the home. Later, she wrote me an email and said, Dr. Butey, I did not know how much I was reacting to these foods. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, I'm looking for blankets now. You never knew that food intolerance, food allergies, however you want to call it, are causing a lot of problems in people today. Spirit of Prophecy says 9 cases out of 10. The indisposition of children can be traced to a problem in the diet, dressing, or sleeping. So make sure we keep that in mind. Many of us have problems with the food we eat. I don't think we have people with no digestive issues, so we have to be careful with that. All right. In terms of other things that we can do for cancer, I always teach the patient this. The cancer-feeding agents of the world are 2 things: sugar and oils. If you want to beat cancer, you should never eat sugar again. You should never eat oils again. Raw diet, that's the basic. Of course, remember, you have to talk to the patients about forgiveness of sins, amend their life with relatives, no quarrels into husband and wife, children, parents, brothers and sisters. And then after that, you can name it. Graviola supplement, graviola tea, you can buy Papa supplements in the US. People do all kinds of supplements and things. You can do all the ones that you want. I recommend herbs teas like graviola, It's the same thing as guyabano. Graviola is the US name for business because they charge you for a lot of money for those graviola tablets. And here you have the blessing, you have guyabano all over. So just pick and choose which tree and just eat it. Eat the fruit, make steeping of the leaves, and you can use that tea. There are other herbs that are good for cancers like periwinkle. You have it here in the US, in the Philippines. There are other herbs that are good for cancer, including garlic is the best for cancer. Which are the vegetables that are not a cancer-fighting vegetables? They are good, but they are not a cancer-fighting vegetables. Which are those? You will see the video when you get the files. Lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, potatoes. Where do you find those? In fast food and hamburgers. Lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and potatoes. So we know that people are eating vegetables, yes, but not the ones that are going to fight cancer. You see how the enemy has set our society to have cancer. He put one thing here, one thing there, one thing there, and at the end, he's at them all. How much are you protected from cancer? Wala na. Everything is against you to have cancer. Do we have a reason to have cancer today? Many, marami, plenty. You can think about something and it's carcinogenic. Smoking, third-hand smoking, we talked about that yesterday. Huh? You name MSG, talk about MSG, it's carcinogenic. You think about oils, yes. Lung cancer is linked to vegetable oils. Do we have reason to have cancer? Yes. When you burn the rice, when you burn the bread, carcinogenic. Even the smell of fried food, the fat that has been heated, that smell, according to studies, is carcinogenic. Who? Do we have a reason to be dead? Many. Yes.
Pass by the street food.
The street foods. Do we have a reason to have cancer in this population here? Do we have a reason to have cancer in Iloilo? Marami, plenty. That's why the Lord says, go to the country. Medical missionary work. We don't have time to talk about that, but I recommend you study more. We have to work from the outside, not inside. You study. I just want to give you this quote so you can remember. You know what God says is true. This comes from Helpful Living, 213.3, means page 213, paragraph 3. Helpful Living, and it says, in 9 cases out of 10, the indisposition of children can be traced to some indulgence of the perverted what? Appetite. Perhaps it is an exposure to cold, want of fresh air, irregularity in eating, improper clothing, and all the parents need to do is to remove the cause and secure for the children a period of quiet and rest, or abstinence for a short time from food. Who does that? An agreeable bath of the proper temperature will remove impurities from the skin, and the unpleasant symptoms may soon disappear. A man from Europe came to visit US, and when he came back, they asked him, what did you learn there in the US? What did you were impressed with the most? He said, how obedient are the parents to the children. That's Bible. That's the prophecy. Disobedient to the parents, and the parents obedient to the children. And that's the way it is today. Even since 6 months old babies. I've seen it. masters in obedience to the children. So we have to learn. If you are teaching the church, what are you going to teach? Go to the Bible, go to the Spirit of Prophecy. What does the Bible say about a child that cries? It says, never give anything to a child when crying. When? Never. What? Nothing. Child cries and the mother gives the breast. Child cries and the mother gives a cookie. Child cries and the mother obeys. That's not God's plan. That's man's plan, not God's plan. And they will cry the more if they don't get what they want. Huh? But they have to get what they need. Because they are the one who rules. This is true education, brothers and sisters. This is medical missionary work. If you don't know the answers for these questions, you will not be able to teach the church right. Medical missionary work is not only what you eat, it's how to rule the home. And the information that you are going to get from the DVD or the ones that I gave already from some of the devices, you will find a presentation is called, What Does God Think? It takes me many hours to finish it. I do it as a series in the churches. And it's about true education. And the reason is, it's one of the main things to heal the home. If we heal the homes, we have healthy churches. And that starts from the spiritual aspect. Then after that, the physical. The most important part is the spiritual. So for medical missionary work, you must go through those slides, and learn how to teach the churches, mothers and fathers, how to be fathers and mothers. I'll give you an example, just to give you a little bit. One of the first questions I ask is, because I do it in a form that you have, reality, life, questions. First question is, and I give two options. The question is, who is the person of choice when you are going out to leave your children with? You see the question? You heard it? Okay, options. Number one, Lola or a sister. Option two, a friend. Then I always ask the congregation, from the two options, what is the most common society-driven option? Lola. Now the question that I present in the slides next is, what does God think? Who is the person of choice to leave your children with? And then I take you to the Spirit of Prophecy and you see what God thinks about it. And you are going to see it. So don't miss to go through those slides and the resources. You're going to learn a lot. One thing you're going to learn is that we don't do what God says. And that is medical missionary work. You have to teach the churches to do right. All right? Let's go for the herbs. We're going to talk about the herbs. When I was at UG Pines, there's one thing I learned and I like is you need to learn to use what you have available. You don't look for fancy things. Don't worry about fancy things. Yes, if one day you learn something that is fancy, people can use it right. But don't focus on those things. People even make money on those things. Let me tell you, God is not looking for you to make money from the medical missionary work. I came to the Philippines because I asked the Lord, Lord, where you want me to go and do the ministry you want me to do. He said, go to the Philippines. I said, sure, I go. How? When? What are you going to do? Who is going to sustain you there? I don't have answer for those questions. I said, you said Philippines? I go. I just obey. The rest is his business. So we came December, January 2013, and we have been since then. According to the law, I cannot work in here. If I do, and I charge you for a consultation, it will be illegal. No, nobody sees me, but that doesn't matter to me. If it's illegal, it's illegal. So I will not do it because it's illegal. Now that's not what is driving me to say to someone, you don't have to pay me. What drives me is that Jesus never charged. In the same way, I will never charge. I decided and I said, Lord, I am going to do this as Jesus did it. It is not for me to get money. Now I'm going to tell you one thing. The spirit of prophecy is clear. Charging for what is needed for the necessities is not a problem. But it is not acceptable in the sight of God to charge big amount of money or more than what you should charge. The spirit of prophecy, look in the SOP bookmarks that I have in there. Doctors should not be paid more than other workers. Than other workers. We should not charge exuberant amount of money for procedures. Brothers and sisters, I'm here just to share. You study yourself. You take your decision. I done my part. I taken my own decisions. I know I'm doing myself. I know what I'm going to say when I face my Lord. And I teach you what I know. You read it yourself and see for your own eyes. If I tell you today, and I tell the whole SDA church in the world, that all the nurses and all the doctors are going to be paid the same thing that a pastor receives, how many of them will be encouraged to be nurses and doctors as they do now? Nothing against anybody. I'm just telling you the truth. Right? I study this myself. I pray for these answers myself. I talk to the Lord myself. And I took my decision. So you think about that too. Pray about that too. And then go. Remember, I said, there is nothing wrong with charge people money for the expenses that we need and the necessities that we need for a lifestyle center, for example. For a whatever. But remember one thing. The medical missionary work was never intended for you to eat. It was a sacrifice. So, we have to think about that. Medical missionary work. When I was there, I said, well, if I am going to reach to people, what am I going to use? Even with my patients at UG Pines, I always look for availability. What do they have? What can they use? If I go to Dinalong and if I go to, I didn't know about that in Japan, but now I think, if I go to Dinalong and if I go to Iloilo, if I go to this mountain, to that mountain there, what can people use in their meats? Can they use potatoes? Sure. Can they use calamansi? What about guava leaves? Huh? Tawa. You know tawa? Yes. Snakeweed, that's the English name. Then, aloe vera, stonebreaker. Charcoal is a little more difficult because not everybody knows how to make charcoal, but you still can get it. It's not that expensive, and it's worth to pay for it. Luyan dilaw. What about onion, cebollas? The highest in quercetin. One of the best anti-inflammatory. So what are we going to do? The kitchen is your medicine board. That's your drugstore, if you can say it that way. So what are we going to do? Let's give an example. Would you help me with this? Let's give an example. You have a lady that fell and is hurting, and she burst in here, anywhere. Just cut an onion like this and just put it on the place. That's all. Directly on the skin. That's all. You just keep it there with something, a gauze, a band-aid. You want one, it's a big bruise, just cut another one. Several cuts, just slice it. Somebody has appendicitis. What's the main thing you have to do is change this every 2 hours in the appendix area. And put several in that area that you can use it every 2 hours. Change it. 2 new ones. 2 hours, new ones. Put it. 2 hours, change it again. This is one of the best anti-inflammatories. It's had quercetin. All right? Yes, on open wound, no. If it's an inflammation in an open wound, you use Luyan dilaw. You can put something on top, like a cloth. Of course, remember that I always recommend cotton. And then you put it on top and then you can place. Okay, it's cotton. And for the, whatever you use, one layer. Not 2, 3, 4, no. 1 layer. So the onion is enough, if enough, sufficient to absorb and have the egg change. Because it's going to be an action of anti-inflammatory. Okay? Sometimes what I do is I take a cloth, let's say like this one, and then sometimes I do chop it. Cases like big areas of bruises, you don't have to, because you just need it right now. You can do just like this, but if you want, you can chop it in pieces. How many? As big as you want, as small as you want, in the shape that you want, however you want it. And when you are done putting it there, I'm just going to cut few so you can see. You arrange it in a way that it's not going to fall from the person, right? It's organized in the whole area that you want, and then you wrap it, right? Just remember 1 layer, not 2. And you can use it in any part of the body, even an arm, whatever. This is cebollas. Simple.
Inside the room for inside the room.
What happened inside the room?
Like for example, if you have fever,
Yes, cebollas can be used for fever also. Some people also recommend that you put it on the socks. Some people in the room only, so okay, to clean the room. Yes, one of the things that we find is that onions absorb bad bacteria. That's why they don't recommend that you cut an onion, leave it in the refrigerator, and eat it the next day. No, that shouldn't be done, because they absorb things. Yes, definitely, directly to the skin. Now, If you want, someone has pain inside, you can get the onion, juice it, strain it, and drink the juice. 1/4 of a cup of the juice. Take it in. That's anti-inflammatory. And it works for pain. Alright? That's talking about onions. That's only few details about onion. You can use onion for many other things. But I am not going to give you the whole story. I don't know them all either. My idea with this is you have to wake up to the point that we have what we need. We just have to investigate a little bit and you will see that you have what you need. Okay, next one. You're in the kitchen. My daughter is cooking and she put her hand too much in the fire and she burned herself. Okay, what you're going to do is you just get a potato and you put it there. That's all. That's one of the best things for burns. Aloe vera too. You can use aloe vera. You can use camote. You can use gavi. Although gavi is a little itchy sometimes. But you can use gavi too. You can use aloe vera. There are other things that people can use. Oh, I used one day in Capuas Mountain with a lady. We were having a seminar. There was no potatoes, no camote. What can I use? But there was a banana leaf. I cut the vein. I put the vein. She said, "Wow, no sensation, nothing whatsoever." Next day, you couldn't see anything on the skin. Of course, it was not a deep burn, but it was a good burn. It was burned with alcohol stove. Seen those? The person was learning, I guess, and he wanted to put more alcohol into it. And when he put the alcohol, it burned. And then he threw it. And the whole alcohol that flew was on fire. So everything that the alcohol fell on, it went on fire. So the tent went on fire. The person that wasn't this got burned in here. And I don't remember what else got on fire, but it wasn't significant. So anyhow, but everything else, you can see the trace of the alcohol dripping with fire. So be careful with that. Myself, I learned you don't play with the alcohol stove. But you can use potatoes for burns. You can also juice the potato, just like that, raw. Juice it, strain it, and drink it, just 1/4 of a cup for people that have stomach problems. Gastritis, ulcers. Yes, basically those are the main ones. And it's helpful for the stomach, for healing of the stomach.
For your wrinkles also.
Wrinkles? Oh, I didn't know this one is for wrinkles.
But make sure that the potatoes have no green, anything green over the skin.
At least for,
Poison.
yes, at least for eating. Is it poison for something else, you mean? When I can tell you myself, one day I didn't pay attention and I think I cooked one that was a little green and I gave it to my son Kevin. He was intoxicated. A few minutes later, it was just few minutes and he was bad. So what I did is I make him vomit, number one, and then after the vomit I gave him charcoal. Few minutes, he was back in his feet. Thank God. So that's why at home, you need to have charcoal. Either you buy it, you learn to make it, which is the best. But you must have charcoal, activated charcoal. That's one of the uses of the potatoes. You can learn more yourself. Just ideas. Calamansi. What is calamansi for? Vitamin C. You can have the calamansi whenever you are having your salad. You just put it in your hand. You do it because you want to get all the seeds out, right? That's what I do right now. And when I finish, my hands have a little bit of the calamansi there. What did I do? Wash it off. Yes, I wash it off. On my face. You didn't know why, Dr. Buten, the picture didn't look so old, right? And you just do your own therapy. Now, my queen asked me to do it for her. Because she likes a massage too. Anyhow, I give her arms or the face or legs. It is good for dry skin. When somebody has dry skin, especially hypothyroidism, one of the complications or symptoms of people that have hypothyroidism is dry skin. So what are you going to do? You can use calamansi. You can use vinegar too. It's good for dry skin too. But you can use calamansi. Calamansi, somebody mentioned yesterday, you can use it for even brushing your teeth. Yes. Now make sure that if you use it for brushing your teeth, you take the fibers out of your mouth. So the idea is when you finish brushing, you rinse with water. So there is no sediments in your mouth when you finish brushing your teeth. Any more uses of calamansi? Yes, they are using it for tofu. They are using cleansing. Yes, you can wash your vegetables.
If you're using salt for brushing, you can use it as a mouthwash also.
Yes, exactly. You can use it as a mouthwash. Perfect. Indigestion, yes. In medicine, actually, people think that calamansi produces more acid in your stomach. In my experience, I don't think so. It's an alkalizing effect.
As long as there's no sugar.
Ah, of course, as long as there's not sugar in it. No water. It's better. Just like that. And it will help actually patients with gastritis.
Yeah.
Acidity. That's not what we think. You see the point?
You have a sweet burp.
Doctor, I've heard other people say that there's a specific way of cutting calamansi. Is that true?
You know, I don't know exactly if there is any way of cutting the calamansi. I've never studied that myself. You will have to teach me that. How you like it.
I just heard that.
I've never studied that myself.
Maybe one cut make it sweet, one cut make it sweeter.
Yeah, maybe so. Well, yeah, that could be. That could be because I know sometimes the skin may, the liquid that comes in the skin may be a little sour, bitter, I should say.
But that's the one that has a lot of antioxidants. The oil from the
Yes,
skin.
the skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people use calamansi also for producing tofu. I have a friend in Baler. He's doing tofu with calamansi seeds for preservation, and carrots and malunggay. I tasted it. It was good. He doesn't use any vinegar, no Epsom salt, nothing else. That's all. And he has good success with it. I was telling one of you that you should bring him so they can teach you here. You can have your own industry about that. That could be one thing you can use for making money. Right? This is also for juice? Yes, when you do your... Yes, sure. You can use calamansi for your diet, in your food, your salads, as part of the taste for the salads. And you can also use calamansi as what we call in US the lemon cure. In the US, of course, the lemons are bigger, something like this. And you can get a lot of juice from one. And we do what is called a lemon cure. A lemon cure is good because it changes the pH, alkalinize the blood, the body. So the kidneys also are going to be alkalinized. It changes into alkaline. If someone has acidic urine, you can bring it to the alkalinization with the kidney. Who is that needs this the most? Acidic, I said, acidic urine, right? Think about uric acid. So think about the person with gout. And think about the person with toxicities that wants the kidney to be flushing. You take a diuretic like corn silk or coconut water, and then you take calamansi also in another time, and you are going to be doing the lemon cure. How is the lemon cure or the calamansi cure? At least I recommend, maybe 3. Sometimes 2 calamansis, 3 calamansis, depending on the size. But if you stick with 3, so you do it this way. Let's say it's 3. 3 today, and the morning, you can drink it just like that, all with water. And then the next day, you do 6. You double it. The next day, you do? No, 3, 6, 9, 12, and you go 7 days. And then when you finish the 7th day, now you're going to decrease by 1, or in this case by 3, right? So if you stop, you count 3 less, 3 less, 3 less. So it will be 13 days. Because it's 7 up. Well, not 7 up. It's 7 going up, right? It's not 7 up. It's 7 going up, and then 6 days coming down. And then you can repeat that lemon cure or calamansi cure, after 2 weeks or sometime. You get a rest, and then you can do it again. And this is very helpful for alkalinizing the blood, alkalinizing the urine when the person is acidic.
Are you squeezing the lemon into the water?
Yes. You can do it either way. You can do it either way.
But by the time when you get 18 or 20 lemons already, that's too much. You don't need water. You just have to drink it.
Exactly. Yes, it may be.
Yes. You eat the lemon pure up, you have to eat or
Oh yes, this is just at the beginning of the day. You start with that, but it doesn't affect anything else of your diet. Remember, it's 13 days. Yes. And an empty stomach. I'm not asking you to fast for 13 days.
So in other words, you must have limits to that. Because me, I'm used to taking everything you'll be through, and then I don't count whether it's 7 days, 10 days, but I do it every other day.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. If it's part of your diet, that's good. Yeah. It's just like thinking about fasting. People say, oh, I'm going to fast for, do this. Oh, sorry. No worries for that. No. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you finished.
And also one thing more, Doctor. You mentioned about eating vegetables. Of course, it's nutrition. But then a question.
Oh, 1 second. Please come for the question, yes. I forgot on that. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My question is, since you mentioned that, of course, we all know that vegetable is beneficial with also fruits. But then my question this afternoon is that, good if we plant our own vegetables.
Oh.
Yeah, of course. Wow. But then if, for example, we don't have any place to plant vegetables, so how do we get rid or inhibit the presence of these sprays, pesticides, for us to have a safe vegetables and also to have good health of we would like to have a clearer view of this, although we had heard
some ideas already.
Yes.
Okay. I'll give a rest to my friend here because this is going to be a long thing. I hope it's not too long. I'll give you one scientific evidence and then we talk more about that. When you go to the videos about excitotoxins and fluoride in the water that Russell Blaylock explained, he explained that many of the MSG production inside of our brain from our own organisms come from the consumption of pesticides and fertilizers. If you think about that, then should we be eating foods from this market here? Now, how many of you decide today to stop eating from this market and let's go somewhere we can eat? What can we do? What can we do? Now, I'm not saying just sit down and keep eating, there's nothing to be done. No. The point is this. Spirit prophecy says that those that have land in the country are kings and queens. This is why you are kings and queens. If we would have followed God's plan, because we are not, we should be in the country. Now let me tell you from the spirit prophecy what is the pattern? What is the plan? And you tell me if you are following or not. Okay? If you read the whole Spirit Prophecy, Country Living, and everything that has to do with it, and you see the context of everything, the plan of God is like this. There is a pastor living in the country with his family. He comes here because this is the church. It's a small church, never a big church. It's a small church. He has some members in here. And he's encouraging with his preaching always to come out of here. He looks for the agriculture person in this church and says, let's have a program out. Let's get a property there where you can go and teach the members of this church how to be farmers and come out. And little by little, everyone that comes in this church is taken out of this place and go out. There's one farmer that has the ability to have, let's say, tofu making, and he has an industry. He wants to have a restaurant here in the city, and he's living there with his family. He spent his money in coming to this city. He put a restaurant, and he is supported by some of the members by offerings, and people volunteering, people working. Some people are paid, some people are voluntary, and they live in the country. And little by little, everyone that you and I can evangelize here is taken out of the country because we are not to work in the city, not even the pastor. Tell me now that we are doing it. You see where the problem comes? If we were living there, having our lands, producing our food, we would not have this problem. Now tell me that we don't have a God of mercy. You cannot say that. Because if He's for our Lord, we will be there already. We are here, and still He's merciful. That's how loving God is. So my point is, I don't know where you are, what is your position, how many years you have been here, what you're doing. I'll tell you what the program of God is. That is God's plan. That's what I have been studying in the Spirit of Prophecy myself and the Bible. God's plan, and that's why my ministry is called God's Plan. I have a clear view, at least, of most of the things that I know. And I decided one day, I don't stay here any longer. Now the enemy has been fighting with me, and against my family. I have not been able to say today yet that I eat always from the country, from my land. I actually recently moved from where I was because it was getting terrible. Music most of the days, sometimes whole night, and very loud. And we said one day, it's enough. We are not getting the rest that we need. We put our sound system with our music up so we could block the music. Therefore, you will have more high blood pressure because even if it's good music, it will keep you with high blood pressure. I know that this world is not a place for us anymore. There is almost nowhere we can go. It's almost nowhere we can eat. There's almost nowhere we can breathe properly. Because everybody smokes. There's almost no place we can actually even sing and not have a problem. Brothers and sisters, this is getting to an end, and we are behind what God wanted to do. But I said one day, my father, according to the Spirit of Prophecy, everything that the Father wanted. Nobody wants to please Him. Thank you, sister. I delight to do that will. Please. Let's learn to love the Father. And let's learn to please Him, which most people have not done. In the whole history, please forgive me, this had never happened to me. So bad. Maybe I have been already too long from my sunbathing also, which is one very important thing I am missing. Sunbathing enhances your serotonin. Sunbathing enhances your melatonin and it gives you more strength. I've been building my house, moving around with my son that had the surgery since September. We just need a change in the church. Let me continue with the herbs so I can get some more strength. Sure. Would you mind coming to the... She's going to come here so you can... Oh, okay. Sure.
I just want to relieve him a little bit, just want to determine his testimony, what he's saying, because this series, brothers and sisters, we know that we are in the end time. There is no time to lose. And if these are written, because this is for warning us that things are going to happen in the season. My husband and I were convicted about this, and we used to live in Los Angeles. Fast life, we thought we were rich. We thought we had gone to the top of our profession and all things that the money can buy. One day we were convicted. I'm very touched for what he's saying, because that was our experience. It was not easy, but when you obey God, He will bless you. So my appeal to each one of us is pray that God is going to lead you. Because remember, in the destruction of Jerusalem, no one Christian perished because they were born and they left. And so that is just my testimony, because it can be done. It's a choice that we make.
Amen.
Isn't this a chitaba? No? It's different? It's similar to a chitaba. It's not chitaba. It's similar, very similar. Very similar to a chitaba. Well, oh, that's the real achitaba?
That's Gainora, but the same action.
Now this one is the one for diabetes.
Yeah, diabetes and cholesterol. But its true name is Gainora precomdin.
Yes.
This one is
Yes, I think this is the one that I knew as achitaba before. I ate it myself. I had a patient in Palawan that used this for diabetes. Very good. Just roll like that. Just roll like that. 1 leaf or 2 after the meal, that's it. And she checked her sugar because she's a nurse. And she was, seeing the blood sugar coming down. Very good for diabetic patients. It's not the same as this one, right?
in the Philippines, they call this ashitaba.
Okay.
The true ashitaba is
The true achitaba is this one.
the one that was shown in Jessica's office program, the Gainora precomdin. But it has the same action because this one was originally grown in Japan.
I see.
Asta is means tomorrow. And this is what they call it the leaves of tomorrow.
I see. And this one is the neem tree.
Neem
Neem tree. Yeah, it's very good. I've known this tree in even at Yuchi Pines. We don't have it in the US, of course, but they use it in Bahamas a lot. They have used this for even impotence. It has many uses: hypertension, you name it, many things.
sample for business of this, any fever you have, any infection, any flu, even with the, what's this?
Mumps.
Fever, any fever, and what's this? There's also the one thing that brought down the SGPT of one of the patients. And also
Liver then.
yeah, liver, it flashes out the liver, and also the gallstone. And this one
And the
is
Indian
Khalifa.
Khalifa.
You can see that outside. There's so many.
Yes, this is wild.
This is for diuretics and others for swelling. It is found in our new book for herbal.
Amazing healing plants.
Yes. It's on the, I think it's on the second page or first page.
Okay. So you see. By the way, good that you mentioned.
Neem tree. That's
Indian Khalifa. Indian Khalifa. Another diuretic. Good that you mentioned now the book Amazing Healing Plants is a beautiful thing here. They told me one day about it. I said, 1. I didn't even ask how much. And they told me, it's okay, just get it. That's where you have to invest your life in. God's plan. So what you do, I finished my water. Oh, that one is good for tuberculosis. Oh, leprosy, mycobacteriums then. Look at that. Okay, guava leaves. Antiseptic. They use it here a lot for washing wounds. It is also very good for hemorrhage, and it's also good for hormone balance for females.
for delivery of baby.
Babies, yes, it's very good for delivery of babies. Many uses. How many people have access to guava leaves? Everywhere, right? I think everywhere in the Philippines you find guava. You see? Now, tawa-tawa. Tawa-tawa is very interesting because they had a very common counterfeit growing aside it. Whenever I found tawa-tawa, I find the counterfeit around. Why does that teach us? In true education, the enemy is always putting a counterfeit in God's plan. He has a counterfeit for God's plan. So, yeah, this is the snakeweed. So be careful to learn how to identify it only. What you do is you get the tip of the plant. Most of the time, when you break it, that tip will give you a white sap. And that one you can use it on the eye, just like that. It's good for many eye problems. I've used it myself. I think I told you already. And it is very good when you have a cut. Just put it on the cut, that's all. You break a little more piece, put it on the cut. I found that the liquid is more concentrated on the tip of the plant, not much down here. So what you use is just the tip. You break it and put it. Break it, little piece, put it. You can use probably several. If you have a big cut, like my queen, I told you that she had a very bad one. What I did is I just get the whole plant, several of them, a bunch, wash really well, make sure there's no earth, dirt in the roots, and then I pass it through a hand mill, and then make it like a pesto, like a paste, a poultice, and then I get a little bit, got the, I forgot there was the onions there, and then I got a little piece of the cloth, cut it, put some in it, roll it, and put it as a tampon. Because it was down there when she had it, right? So, then beside that, I put her in the douches. And the douches had guava leaves, luyan dilaw, yes, turmeric, combine it. We make tea, and that was the water for the douche. You see, at home you have what you need. Make sure you have this one always, because this is anti-inflammatory, it's antiseptic, it's antimicrobial, it is, you name it. It has anti-cancer. Many, many properties. I'm just mentioning you some. And it's very good in food. We just eat it in the food. We didn't have it when we were at Dinalongan. We didn't have it. It was not easy to find it. So we got from other places. But what we did is one time we came to Madela, close to Quirino, Isabela, and we found there, I bought a big piece. At home, it will start growing already, get the eye, plant it. At the end, we had almost 30 plants there at the Dinalongan. And we will go to the garden, open a little bit, get one root for eating. Sometimes just the leaves. Just the leaf give you flavor in the food. Just blend it or crush it, cut it, whatever, put it in the food. And even that was good in the flavoring. Sometimes even with the salad, just eat a little piece of it. Because it's good as many medicinal properties. You can use it in your life. Why can you use the aloe for? Burns, wounds, blood thinner, many, many uses. Hair, skin. I've used it for anti-acid effect, stomach, hemorrhoids. How? I'm going to teach you. You get the gel out, several leaves, and then you get a glove or something you can use that will have like the finger, even this one. You see this? Maybe like that size or a little smaller. And then you put it in the freezer. And then the next day when it's ready, you insert one at nighttime with an underwear that could be stained, and you use it with hemorrhoid patients. Like a suppository. Because it's frozen in the refrigerator, the gel is frozen in the refrigerator, in the freezer, and you can use one finger as a suppository. You see, many, many things we can do. Huh? One finger size. Yeah, you can, in the glove, you fill up with the gel, maybe like 1 inch, the tip, and you leave the glove hanging on a container, even like a glass or something. Just leave it like that. And then the next day, everyone is ready like a suppository. Oh no, you take it out. You take it out of one finger, you take it out. You can probably, I don't know, hang it with something or whatever. Yes. Just the ice gel. And then you introduce it. It melts during the night. And the reason you use an underwear that can be stained, because people may not be able to hold it and they just pass some of the gel out and that's it. But it's very good for hemorrhoids. I use it a lot.
If you want to fillet the big one, you see there's it's like a
Painting.
canal under that skin, which releases the fluid one.
Ah, the bitter one.
The
yellow one.
Induce, what's this?
Ah, yes. Laxative.
Yes, it's laxative. And if you want to eat that, you have to fillet it, take it out, so that you will not...
Some people take the skin out, so you don't have to have that problem. Now, I can tell you, in my own experience, what I did at Yuchipans many times, is I got to the young plant, the young leaves, and I took the ones that were probably like this size. You can still see these white stripes, you know, and I will get it just like that, wash it well, cut it in the salad, and just eat it. Everybody in the family, many times, and no problem because it's young, and it's like a smoothie too. You can use it for smoothies, and it's part of your vegetables. Yeah, you can use it in a smoothie. This is anti-cancer. It's very good for cancer patients.
from the out there safe to eat?
According to I know, yes. If you know something different, then teach me.
Because they say there are some that causes itchiness.
Well, there may be some, but it's normally with the old leaves, what I have noticed. For example, the young leaves, they don't give you that bitter taste than the old ones do. So I never use the old ones for salad. I always use the young ones and just cut it. I didn't even cut the thorn, not even that. Just wash it, pieces, and eat. As simple as that. All right. I think that's it for the plants that we have here. There are many, many, many other uses that you can find. Thank you so much.
You mentioned that we cannot eat vegetable together with the fruits. How about if we juice it and we can drink it together?
Well, I will give you what the spirit of prophecy, and then we can answer based on that. There's one quote in the spirit of prophecy that says that it should not be used combined, fruits and vegetables. And that's simple, right? But there is another quote in the spirit of prophecy that says, when the person has digestive problems, then don't mix fruits and vegetables. Now, based on that, you know that the person may have, enzymatic deficiencies or whatever. The stomach is going to have more work by doing that. You may remember that in medicine or in physiology, we know that the fruits take less time than the vegetables. When you eat fruits and vegetables together, the fermentation happens because the vegetables need more time. The fruits are already finished and they have to wait until the vegetable is done. So there's more fermentation in the digestion because the fruits are taking longer in the stomach. Therefore, you have to fight that fermentation. Your liver may be overtaxed and so on. Besides that, you have to be careful with your time of meal, what you really are eating. At UC Pines, when we were there using a machine called thermogram, it's a machine that measures the temperature of the body. If you measure the temperature of the liver, you will see that after 2 o'clock, the liver was like failure. And any patient will look like if the liver was cold, sleep, not working at all. Why? Because around 2 o'clock, the liver changes gears and is not as active as during the morning time. Therefore, if you think about digestion, it's going to be more taxing for the liver to have something that is heavier during the evening time, right? If you remember the recommendations of the Lord from the Spirit of Prophecy, He says, number one, He says in one quote, the stomach is better prepared in the morning for the heaviest meal. What is heavier, vegetables or fruits? Vegetables. So if you think about that, what's better to eat in the morning time? Vegetables. Because they are heavier, the stomach is more ready for the heaviest meal, which is not what we believe in medicine. People recommend that you eat in the breakfast fruits because they said your stomach has been sleeping and this and that, and they give all this explanation, and that's not what God says. You see? God says in the Spirit of Prophecy, your stomach is more ready to digest the heaviest meal. Therefore, what should be the heaviest meal? I don't condemn anybody eating fruits in the morning. I'm not condemning anybody. I like to do vegetables in the morning. And I like to have fruits at lunch. Whenever I have supper, if I have supper, it has to be what God recommends. He says in the Spirit of Prophecy that when the third meal is used, should be fruits and grains. So is there any place for nuts in the evening? No, it shouldn't be. What about beans? It's not the best. What about vegetables? It's not included in the list. And why? because of all that I explained before. The liver goes to sleep around 2 o'clock. It's heavier for the body to start digestion of it. Again, you basically have to wake up your liver again to do the work, kind of.
So it doesn't matter if it's juice or olive?
Yes, it's the same thing.
Because I thought that if it's a juice, it will take just a minute for the body to...
Well, as a matter of fact, in the documents that I gave you, there is a document that is called "What About Juicing?" Read that document. I don't have time for that. You're going to be bombarded in your brain, brother, with the new studies about juicing. This is all scientific based. You will see. But basically, I am going away personally from juicing. Let me tell you what I did myself with my son. My son, the one that had the surgery, he is the one that has digestive issues most of the time. So when he had the surgery, I know he needed some help. So we started juicing and blending his food every time the meal. Of course, I know which food does not agree with him, so I don't allow him to eat the things that he doesn't agree with. But then one day we started reading this document and started analyzing it more and more. And I started noticing that even though after the surgery he was doing better, he still had inflammation sometimes. And then I decided, okay, this is going to be kind of my sacrifice, we can say. I am going to chew his food. Why? In the Spirit Prophecy, you find that there is importance in the chewing because it says, eat slowly. Right? There's another quote that says, it is more important the time the food remains in the mouth than the amount of food you eat. That's the second quote. The third quote says that it is important that the food is well mixed with saliva. What is it that children lack? Mixing food with saliva. They don't chew. So I started the journey. Whenever I sat at the table, at least for 2 weeks, I chew the food and put it in his plate. When I finished with his food, then I ate. And for 2 weeks I did it. After that, no more problems. What happened?
We do it with our children when they were smaller.
Yeah, the problem right now here is somebody told me that they smoke, so that's not a good thing. Anyhow. Yes. He ate it. Yes, he was here in my side. He was on my side. Now, I can tell you honestly, in my family, I think I have one of the best saliva production, I think. Whenever I chew, I produce a lot of saliva. Even though my teeth are, I had 16 amalgams, I am very hard in the chewing. When I chew, you can hear it. And you cannot see anything in the end production. Right? So, I know that when I chew, it's not plain. I actually trained myself to chew when I was at Unadeca in Costa Rica. And the reason for that was because I had a lot of troubles in my nursing career. I didn't have money, so I had to pay for it and I had to work for it. There were weeks when I had nothing to eat, but something was in the table, was a feast. So I learned to chew properly. I have a friend that he was in Romania, he was in prison. And he said that they only gave him 2 slices of bread for meal. But then later, people were analyzing and he was the only one not losing weight. And then they asked him what he was doing. He was taking 2 hours to finish those 2 slices of bread. Of course, it's the only thing you can eat.
Yeah, and yes, all the time.
And he has all the time. Of course. So you can see that I'm not saying you have to eat your food for 2 hours. I'm not saying you can only eat 2 slices of bread. I'm saying the more you chew your food, the better it will be. You saw the assimilation of food chart for yourself. We basically don't do the work properly. And if the spirit of prophecy says it's more important the time than the amount, it is very important that the saliva mixes with the food. And it says eat slowly. And there's another quote in the spirit of prophecy says, you can find it there. It says, if you are in a hurry, sister, she mentioned it to me today, it's better you don't eat than to eat in a hurry. Of course, the spirit of prophecy also says that you should eat on time. That's why when I have my schedule, if I eat at 6, I eat at 6. If I eat at 7, I eat at 7. If I eat at 12, I eat at 12. If I eat at 5, I eat at 5. I don't change it. If I change it, I don't eat. Now, when you change it again, you can have a few days of adjusting and your body adjusts again and you can have a new schedule, you change it, okay? But you should not change schedules every 2 days or every day. Today I have to fly and I eat at 5 instead of at 7. And today I have to go and... No. That's not God's plan. God's plan is you stick with a diet, you keep it. You go to travel, take it with you. Eat at 7 o'clock. I have to go to Iloilo, take the bus to Manila. 7 o'clock, I am just boarding the bus, that's when I eat. I'm waiting for the bus, it's 7 o'clock, that's when I eat, at 7 o'clock. Not at home, before I go. I take my food and I eat at 7. Because my breakfast is always at 7, my lunch is at 1. Now, because of the training, I changed my schedule for 6 o'clock in the morning and 12 o'clock so I can be here for 1 o'clock. And I will do it for the week. As soon as I go back home, the best is to fast for 1 day and then reschedule. Drink only water for that day and then you reschedule. Your body will have a lot of adjustment that day if you eat. Now, if you feel strong and you want to keep eating, that's your choice. But the best, according to the recommendations for adjusting your circadian rhythm, is you fast for that day and then the next day you reschedule. You see, the changing of things over and over is not God's plan. One day you go to work and you're late, you eat at 2 instead of 1, and next day you... No. It says, the spirit of prophecy, that your food should not be delayed even 5 minutes. The cutting time for me, as I have studied, is 30 minutes. Cutting time is 30 minutes. That's what I have studied. That's what I know. So that's what I do. But I do my best to have it on time. Any other question before we go? You see, brothers and sisters, to be medical missionary workers and teach God's plan, you really have to study.
Hello, doctor. We are used to do blending carrots with a little calamansi or the Chinese citrus extract and honey. So, since what I've learned from you now, that it's more important the mixing of saliva, meaning more chewing. So can we still continue blending and then we'll chew longer the pulp inside? We can enjoy the...
Yes, you know, we enjoy the juicing sometimes. And yes, if somebody needs it, I can tell you, even, you know, elderly people that don't have teeth anymore, they cannot chew. What are you going to do? Well, you're not going to be chewing for them either, whole life or 20 years in the time that they remain still alive. So you have to do something for them. There is no option. Maybe that's the only solution. I don't know. You take the decision. But one thing I can tell you, when you study this document, you are not going to be encouraged to do it anymore. What about juicing? You are not going to be encouraged to do it anymore. Now, if you do it, it's your last resort, maybe. Yeah, maybe so. You know, we do sometimes dressings and so on, but don't make it a custom. Mm-hmm.
The last one, doctor.
Yes, it's you. Oh, would you come to the mic.
Maybe it's okay. I'll just speak louder, doctor. I just want you to correct if what I'm doing regularly to my family and to my, to my patients, if this is good. Because based on my experience, when we have cough in the family or pneumonia, I just crush 10 seeds of garlic, 10 calamansi extract, and 2 tablespoons of honey. Immediately we recovered because it dissolves phlegm, and the next day the cough is gone. And I've been teaching a lot. Those who have been admitted, firstly, secondly, they are out. But my concern is that that is only based on what I have reading, But in you, because you have studied it formally in the lifestyle medicine school, is there no overdosage in it? Lemon, honey, and garlic. 10 seeds of garlic. I crushed it. I threw away the skin, just the flesh. I mixed the extracted juice from the flesh of garlic to the honey and lemon. Yeah, and so that's my concern because I need to know the proper procedure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as I told you, I don't have it all. I don't know everything. But I share what I know. Okay. Number one, if you have a patient that has heart disease, blockage in the arteries, and he uses honey, he keeps building cholesterol and he keeps the route to a heart attack. Just keeping that in mind, okay? Dr. Elsenstein does not allow patients that have heart disease to use honey until the cholesterol number is down. And even nuts. They cannot eat nuts or honey until the cholesterol level is back to normal. After that, they can. So keep that in your mind. So it still induces your into to keep the cholesterol high. Okay? Then, it's not cholesterol. It's just that the use of it does not allow the cholesterol to come down.
So what about the honey and lemon along with
Wait.
No honey, lemon and garlic alone?
Oh, that's good. It's not a problem. The honey, especially in the US, they are treating the honeys with antibiotics, mixing the antibiotics with water and sugar. Most of the honey in the US, it's antibiotic treated. Most of it, at least the ones that are commercial and so on. The ones that are not commercial, maybe somebody has in their homes or whatever, they may not have, but it's not easy to find it. In here in the Philippines, I bought one time honey because my queen wanted for testing some bread making. She bought the honey, and in 3 days it was spoiled. So what does that tell you about the honey? It was already mixed, it's not pure, it's business, right? Okay. Honey does not allow viral, bacterial, fungus to grow. If it's pure, will never get rotten. I had one honey in the US that somebody gave me in a container, and we had it for 4 years, and it was not finished yet because we use it for treatment, never for eating. Based on all these details, and the last one, honey is an animal product. It's not a vegetable. So based on all these things and what God has said, I don't fight with anybody that uses honey, but I always tell, be careful. Honey is not good for cancer because it will still feed the cancer cells. So, is it really good to use it with someone that has an infection? Maybe not. It's not good, probably. So, what I recommend in these cases is to use the calamansi, the garlic. There is one recipe that they call Russian penicillin. It is actually one pomelo, one lemon, garlic, and onions. And the pomelo and the lemon or calamansi is whole. You just wash it and you have everything, seeds and skin. And they blend all that together. 1 tablespoon anytime, 4 times a day, whatever, with the meal. I like it with the meal. I don't like it any other time because it induces digestion. So it's like another meal.
I read this story about molasses.
Molasses, I will not use it with cancer patients. Molasses is good for mineral because it's very concentrated. If somebody has deficiencies, especially somebody, for example, give you an example, there was a patient in one of the islands that was bleeding for 15 days. He was getting pale, and I recommended to use the molasses because in the island they did not have anything else to do. No asuete, which is what I use for anemia, asuete, alogbate, that's what I use for anemia, raisins. So they didn't have raisins, they didn't have asuete, they had alogbate, but they didn't have other things. So I said, go ahead and use the molasses because they had it available. If it doesn't have diabetes, then go ahead. They did not know. But because of the bleeding, they said, well, you have no options maybe. You go ahead and use it, so make sure that the person is alive. But you have to be careful. If you give to a child molasses today, the next thing you're going to see is that he jumps like a ball all around you. If there is one thing that is going to happen is that you will not be able to control behavior of the children. Is it good? I asked the question. Is it really good then? When my queen one day, I left for the lifestyle center in Ajuchi Pines to work, and I came back and she said I had struggles with the children's behavior. And I asked her, what did you feed them? And of course at breakfast we had dates. And I said, how many? Then she revealed to me what she did. And I said, the dates were too many. Next time, please just feed them less. And that was it. Do you have to be careful even with dates? Sure. How many should we eat? How many will you give to your children? Well, if you don't want behavior problems, you can feed them less. If you want behavior problems, you can feed them more. The father and the mother are the ones who determine what the child eats. A child should never be given food that he asks. In my house, we never ask one of our children, what do you want to eat? And we never ask them, do you want more? They ask for food, and they are never to say, I want rice, I want this. They said, Mommy, Daddy, may I have more? And then I check their bellies, and I take the decision if they need, and I take the decision what they are going to eat. They never eat what they want. And they know it. Sometimes somebody comes as a visit and the person said, would you? They know if someone comes and says, take, eat. They have to say, no thank you. Only Daddy give me my food. And they know if they are not at the table, they don't eat. Give you an example, Kevin was, I don't know, he was probably 1.5 years old. I had taught him, if you come down from the table, you don't eat anymore. And one day he did it, he fasted. And then it didn't happen anymore. No shouting, I just said, no, Kevin, you stay and you finish your food. You stay, you come down to from the table, you don't eat anymore. Next time he did it, I just said, you cannot eat anymore, Kevin. I told you you should not come down from the table, and whenever you come down to the table, you are done. So you will eat this same thing next meal. And one day, I said in one of the meals, Kevin, go to the bathroom, of course, to the CR in here. And then you come back. And he started to cry. Why? Then I said, Kevin, you have my permission to go to the CR, do what you have to do, and when you come back, you come to the table and finish this food. He ran to the CR. What happened? He thought he was going to be done with his food. He knew who his father is. And he knew he was going to displease me. That is true education. You see how much we lack in our church? You have to teach it now. But you have to learn. Exactly. If we cannot discipline ourselves, how can we expect the discipline from the children? It cannot be. This is true medical missionary work. By the way, I had a cold compress last night because I was feeling a little hurting in here. I said, no. I did a cold compress, nothing, no problems. Today, thank God, I'm doing great by the grace of God. Yes, sister, you wanted to say something? Time is gone. Yes, we have to go. Thank you, sister. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege that you have given us to be here this afternoon. Please forgive me for allowing my emotions to come out. But Lord, help me to deliver the message in the best way I can. I know it's not really bad to do it, but give me strength, Lord. Help me to finish also the solarium, that we can do the sunbathing as we should be doing. Finish the house, that we may have our family running. Please help us. I thank you for all the help we have received, for all the benefits that you have given us. And I ask you, Lord, that you continue blessing the church in the same way, or even greater, that we can finish the work that you want us to do, that we will not do it just because we have to do it, but because we want to please you, Lord. Guide us and give us a strength, please. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.